Mindfulness of the body. When we don't have mindfulness of the body, it's as though we don't have a shelter for the mind. It's like we're out in the open, we're exposed to all of the elements. When it rains, we get wet. When it's windy, we get blown about. When it's snowing, we get cold. When it's really sunny, we get too hot. It's like we're exposed, we're vulnerable. We don't have any way to protect ourselves from the elements. So when we don't have mindfulness of the body, when we don't have this foundation of awareness that is based in the body, when we're just in our minds, we're constantly kind of outside of ourselves, being distracted and so on, then we don't have any protection from what happens to us in life, whether it's internally, whether it's some emotion or memory or craving or anger or whatever, or something that's happening in the, on the outside. It's like we have no protection from these experiences we get. Our mind gets pulled about, thrown about, very easily affected. It's weak, it's fragile, it's vulnerable. That's what it's like when we don't have the shelter or the house of mindfulness of the body. But when we can really develop this inner refuge, this shelter, and we can bring our awareness into the body and have this as our main experience, if you like, of being embodied, of being mindful of the body, mindful when we move, when we walk, when we sit, when we breathe, always knowing what the body's doing, then we create this very strong shelter for the mind. And so we don't get our mind is strong. It doesn't get knocked about, blown about. It doesn't get wet when it rains and freezing when it snows. It remains calm, it remains centered, it remains aware. The Buddha gave one of his most important teachings is called the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And at least half, maybe even a third of this, maybe even more than a half of this teaching focuses on the first foundation of mindfulness, which is mindfulness of the body. And he goes into great detail about how to develop this skill of being mindful and aware of the body. And one of those is to simply pay attention to our movements, our actual physical movements. So as I sit here, I try to be aware of my mouth moving, of my hand making a gesture. I can sense that. And so what it is, it's paying attention, not with your eyes. It's not that you're looking at your body and watching it move, but you're paying attention to that in a way, that inner body. If you close your eyes, you sense your body. You have this sense of there being something there, and it's just this sort of shape of sensations, of feelings, of energy, if you like. And it's this that we train our mind to focus on. And one of the ways we can do this is to be mindful of our movements as we move. When I first got interested in meditation, I made this little exercise for myself to help me to develop this skill of being mindful of the body, mindful of the movements. And this exercise I had was in the kitchen, when all of the drinking glasses and cups had been cleaned in the dishwasher, I would line them all up on the kitchen worktop beneath the cupboard where they belonged, and I would try to put each of those glasses away, put them into that cupboard without making a sound. And you can imagine it took me quite a long time, and I had to move very, very slowly, very carefully, but also very mindfully. I had to be completely aware of what I was doing. I couldn't get distracted. I had to resist the temptation to hurry up, to get on and do something exciting. I had to really slow down, really pay attention to my arm, to my fingers, to the sense of the glass in my hand, to the weight of it, putting it down without making a sound, making sure it didn't hit another glass. And it made me so aware and really focused and kind of unaware of anything else, really. I was really focused on it, and it felt really good. It felt amazing. Even during such a mundane task as putting the glasses away could be so rewarding. And this is one of the things that mindfulness of the body brings, is it a sense of presence and joy in the most simple activities. So when we're being mindful in this way, then it's like we are following our movements, where we're moving, with our awareness, with our mind. We're training our mind to stay with our body, particularly where we are using it. So with putting the glass away, it was all in my hands. I had to be aware of the rest of my body too, but mainly in the hand. When you're walking, it's mainly in the legs. So it's in this way that we build this shelter, that we build this house of mindfulness. And this becomes a real refuge and brings this sense of stability and safety. And it also allows us to when we have this, it allows us to observe the weather without getting affected by it. Just like you have a house or a shelter and you can look out at the window. Whatever the weather's doing, it's snowing, whether there's a gale force wind or it's hailing or it's really hot, we can remain inside and at ease. And so when we have this shelter of mindfulness of the body, we're able to, but we don't get just pulled along and so easily affected by, for example, moods that arise or emotions. Maybe there's some anger flashes into our mind, but if we have this shelter, this base, then that remains the dominant experience for us, and we're able to watch that experience, or at least not be overwhelmed by it, and choose to not follow it, but just to stay with it, to observe it. And when we can do that, then that we see that experience of that anger or whatever it is, it comes and it goes. It's transient. And we then come back to just being aware of the body. So that's one way to develop mindfulness of the body, is to just take a simple activity, putting away the glasses, drinking a cup of tea, making a cup of tea, folding the tea towels, just to try to do it silently and really notice how it affects your awareness, the quality of your awareness, and how that makes you feel and how good it feels. It's not just the case of doing it silently, it's more about the slowing down. So just to take a simple activity, to do it very slowly. In one tradition, a Burmese tradition from Mahasi Sayadaw, they will spend the whole day doing everything slowly to help them to really pay attention to exactly what they're doing. And they will also note what they're doing, make a mental note of just the simple labelling of that particular action. Folding, placing, lifting, and so on. So we don't need to spend the whole day, and pretty obviously we can't, but to do it like a short, concentrated period of developing mindfulness in this way can be extremely helpful. And that you'll find that when you stop and you carry on as normal speed, you are more aware. So it carries through. It's also very helpful in deepening your meditation practice. So to have a period of mindfulness in this way before you sit and meditate can really give your mindfulness when you sit a boost. So pay attention to your movements. Make simple, short exercises for yourself. Train your mindfulness of the body. It's a training. It's like learning a skill. The more you practice, the better you get. If you sit down, learn to play the piano, you don't expect to be playing Mozart after 3 sessions. And so it is with this skill. It takes time and it takes perseverance, but we will notice the effects, the benefits pretty quickly.